Really good afternoon. It's been a terrible week. We've lost Toots Hibbert. We've lost Mrs. Peel. This amounts to carelessness. The United Kingdom has decided that it's just going to ignore the law and be a rogue state. I've had better weeks. But not to worry, folks. We're here to address your piffling human concerns. With, of course, my producer, Dhiren Basu.
Good afternoon, Pat. How are you doing tonight?
Good afternoon.
Another rummage in the bulging sack of
Indeed.
inquiries. The first one from Française Méchic.
Hello. Salut.
What, or quoi, are you listening to now?
À ce moment, j'écoute de la musique. Écoute facile, parce que c'est tranquille. What am I listening to? Beethoven. I listen to lots and lots of Beethoven, especially the violin concerto in D major. I've been listening to, since we've been locked down, I've been listening to a fair bit of jazz, a lot of 1950s Miles Davis prestige recordings, Kind of Blue, that kind of thing. John Coltrane, Africa Jazz. Yeah, a lot of jazz I've been listening to, Sonny Rollins. Been listening to a new record by my pal Mike Berman, who's done a record under the name of The Marble Tea. That has a couple of really nice tunes on it. Goodness me, we had a day, didn't we? We had an evening listening to Cypress Hill.
We did have a Cypress Hill evening.
Yeah, we
also
revisited.
had an evening of Tim Harris' album that he recorded over the lockdown as well.
Well, it's been very difficult during lockdown not to listen to Tim Harris because the man has been producing.
He produces.
Like a producer. I'm losing count. Tim's made at least 3 LPs during lockdown with various collaborators, and they're all insanely far out.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man and a redoubtable musician.
He is the best bass player in the world.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. I think there's that guy who plays with the Drones Club, but apart from that, I'm really struggling to...
Oh, that guy, he's just trouble. I mean, I think eventually Nina, Tim's daughter, is going to elbow him out the way and she's going to become the best bass player in the world.
I think it's, yeah, that is certainly a possibility.
Keeping it in the family.
Not in a Rolf Harris. Anyway, Patrick Beaversock.
Bowersock? I'm not sure.
Bowersock makes far more sense.
Fishy handwriting, my apologies.
And there's nothing fishy about it. Patrick Bowersock. 3-part question.
Okay.
Number 1, how did you get involved with David J?
I had very little to do with that. When I moved up to Northampton, I knew, got to know Kevin Haskins, the Bauhaus drummer, and of course David's brother. And I just knew Kevin socially. We'd go to the odd party together, and he was a very nice chap. And a very strange thing happened at the end of 1982, at a time when we played about 1.5 gigs in tiny back rooms of pubs. Bauhaus got in touch with us and said, come and support us in the Hammersmith Palais, which was a memorable experience. And at the end of that, I saw Kevin, and I said to him, "Why, Kev? That was an experience. Thanks for that." And Kev looked a little baffled and went, "Oh, it's nothing to do with me." And I found out about 3 weeks after that it was actually David. He'd just been doing his eagle-eyed pop detective thing. He'd been watching us from a distance and thought, well, how can I check them out? I know, I'll get them on the bill. See how they cope with being shouted at by 1,500 furious goths.
Tremendous. I'm presuming you don't regret it?
Not a damn moment, no, it was all great. And of course, you know, over the course of that summer then, I got to know Dave. I think the first time we really got to meet was at Kevin's birthday party. He had a birthday party on a boat, on a canal boat. And Alan Moore was there, and he did his Sinister Ducks tune with David, of course, backing him up on the guitar. And so I got to meet Alan and David pretty much the same night, I guess.
And you hadn't happened upon him just around
No, I mean,
the environs.
no, I'd seen Bauhaus, on stage and so forth. When they were in the back room of Pub's stage, even. I remember the first time I saw Bauhaus, I was outraged because they asked me for 20p on the door. I was 20p? But it was worth it.
Yeah, that feels like 20p well spent.
Yeah, I had no idea, of course, at the time that I'd ever meet any of them or end up playing with them, but that's the way it goes.
That is the peculiar musical journey. Question number 2 from Patrick Bowersock.
Indeed.
That's Bowersock.
Like Bauhaus.
Like Bauhaus. Just a machine. A machine. Would you consider an American tour?
I often consider the American tours that we did in the past. Would I consider one now? It's become so difficult. Basically, America's just made it really, really difficult for foreign musicians to come in. It started after the 9/11 atrocity when George W. decided that because some crazy Saudi blokes had blown up a couple of skyscrapers, it was necessary to triple the cost of a musician's work permit. And that was really quite off-putting enough, along with the extra security, which meant that my friend Steve New, for example, was nudged with a machine gun while he was waiting for his visa one time. All that came in, that was bad enough. And then last week, Donald Trump's little junta announced that they were going to increase the price of a work visa again by more than 50%. Now, if you're U2 or Radiohead, this is probably fine. It's just write a check and on we go, lads. But for someone like me, it makes it absolutely impossible.
Delightful.
Sad but true.
Yeah. Well, that's progressive conservatism for you. Excuse me. Lovely stuff. Number 3. What is the story behind Girlfriend?
Okay. It's not what you think. There's a line in Girlfriend, the one that it all hangs on, really. As it sort of, you've had the verse and it hits a little sort of bridge bit on the D, and I sing, my best friend's girlfriend, I got a girlfriend. And this was the trigger for the song. What was happening, I was at work, I used to work in a lawyer's office, and I was going to the record shop, and it was a beautiful summer's afternoon, and as I used to be when I was young, I was brutally afflicted with hay fever. My eyes were all swollen up and running, my face was all red, I couldn't really see properly. And I was staggering out of the old Our Price record shop into this little pedestrian precinct when Jules came along. Everyone in Northampton knows Jules. She runs a bakery. And Jules at the time was seeing my flatmate, Mitch Jenkins. And she came across me in the street, in the bright sunshine, looking tearful and distressed. And I thought this was kind of funny, because of course I wasn't distressed, I was just ill. And that kind of lodged in my head. My best friend's girlfriend. And then, I got a girlfriend. And then it all starts to spew out, and it's just like a sort of protest against human relations in general, really.
Exemplary explication. Delightful. That makes all the sense. I hadn't even considered it. I just let that one breeze past me. That makes me feel rather bad.
Like an amphetamines Dire Straits.
Yeah, I suppose so in some ways, yeah.
It was a review we got for that, made me cackle.
Amazing. So next question is from Erica Vaughan.
Hello.
How did your music end up on Rich Hall's show on the Comedy Channel?
This is a question which I can't really answer, because by the time I found out that it was already a fait accompli. So I think we're going to have to put it down to Rich's people and the publishers. But Rich it turned out, yeah, he was a bit of a fan of what we did. And we were on tour in 1990 around the New York area. And we were all rather annoyed one morning when we were made to get up early. And we were told that we had to go and do some television or something. And we're never, as a band, very comfortable with television. It's a sort of culture clash. They don't like us, we don't like them. And so we were hoisted out of bed and we were taken to the Hartkey bass amplifier factory down in New Jersey. And we thought, well, why we are here? No one had really told us why. Someone had said, oh, there's a comedy program, you've got to do a song or something. We didn't really know what it was. And when we arrived, the first thing we saw was an enormous spread of sandwiches. And this softened our attitude a little bit. And then it was explained to us that Rich Hall was a bit of a fan of our music and he wanted us to do a couple of numbers. So we're taken out into this bass cabinet factory and we play a couple of numbers for Rich, and he stands there and he introduces us to the camera, but he doesn't actually speak to any of us. And yeah, we did our songs, we split, life went on, and there was really very little contact with Rich himself at the time. But then again, years later, he'd turn up, well, after he'd moved to London, he would turn up at gigs and stuff, and I got to know him a little bit. He's every bit as dry and difficult as he appears on the screen, actually, but I like him.
Is he genial in any way? I get the impression that he has the potential to be genial.
He's genial, like a sort of rough but honest cowboy uncle.
Or a sort of crabby way.
Yeah.
A sort of crabby way.
Yeah, that's getting it. That's
okay.
Getting it. Yeah. Yeah, I had a very strange night with him and another comedian, a chap called James, I can't actually remember James's surname off the top of my head, Rogers, who he actually works as Boothby Grapho. And these two turned up at a gig in London and they were in the dressing room after the show, and I thought, this is a golden opportunity, Patrick, you must strike. Because Rich, of course, had been doing his Otis Lee Crenshaw show with his silly country songs, you know. And James had also taken to like sitting on a stage with a guitar in his lap and doing sort of vaguely Robin Hitchcock style songs. And I had these two in the dressing room drinking my beer, and I thought, well, this is a golden opportunity. I said to him, "Some of those songs. You see me telling jokes? No."
That is certainly true, yeah.
Yeah, they were both quite glum about it, but that's comedians for you.
You should have beaten the shit out of them with your guitar. In fact, you should have beaten the shit out of them with their guitars.
I suppose I should, really.
Taken a stand for musicians the world over.
Yes, you must confront that man.
Yeah.
Tell him don't come round here no more.
Play that card, comedians. That's what you should have said. And then set upon them.
That's
without
it.
mercy.
I mean, you don't see me piling onto the stage and going like, oh, women, what are they like? They go to the toilet in pairs. You know, I don't do it.
Stuff like that. I'd like
You'd like
see,
me to do
I'd
that?
like to see you perform a Michael McIntyre set.
I've never seen a Michael McIntyre set, so I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, you can be glad.
Stuff like that.
Actually, I don't know if that is that going to convey. I don't know if Michael McIntyre is even a thing in America.
He's a rubbish comedian from England. Bit of a Nazi.
I mean, I think even putting comedian in front of him is.
Yeah, you're right. He's rubbish from England. Bit of a Nazi.
He's a mirror on the vacuousness of British society on stage.
Vacuity, surely.
Yeah, vacuity is the word I was looking for. Thanks a bunch.
Welcome to BBC Two.
Yeah. We discuss words and all sorts of stuff.
We do, though.
Next question, Jeff Swick.
Yeah.
What's the story with debauchery at Radio Free Saskatoon?
Yeah, Saskatoon. The far north. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Canada, and you'll be aware that basically Canada is a road. It goes from east to west. It's just the road, and you follow it along. And you come to the province of Saskatchewan, and the first thing that you hit on the road is Regina, which is the capital of Saskatchewan. We played there a couple of times. And after a couple of tours over there, we left the road. We went north and found ourselves in Saskatoon, capital. No, they can't both be the capital, but one or the other is anyway. That's Canada's business. And Saskatoon is quite a small agricultural sort of place. It's where Joni Mitchell comes from. And we played a gig there, I think, at the university. And afterwards, this fella, Jeff, a lovely man, he came up to us. He said, chaps, I've got a radio studio, which is closed for the night. So why don't we go down there, grab some bottles, and we'll have a bit of a party in the radio studio. We'll bother no one and we can have a laugh. We agreed. We went to the radio station and we did have a laugh. We drank, we smoked, we told funny jokes, we fell over. It was all very good fun. I don't know if it was right at the end of the evening or possibly even a day or two later. But there was a discovery. Although the station was shut down for the night, it's one of these local community stations that comes out of your telly. You know, it's quite common now to get radio out your TV, but back in the day it was quite a novel thing for us.
Wayne's World.
Never seen it, you see.
Part of time. Excellent,
we know about. And so we went to this place, we had this great party and no big deal. Except it turned out that although the station was shut down, the last person out had left everything on. He'd left all the microphones open. So anyone who had their telly on late that night would have heard everything.
And no recording was made, I presume.
Now that I don't know. I think that's our turn to ask Jeff the question, because if anyone's got it, it is Jeff.
Jeff, do you have it?
Eh? Eh?
Jeff?
Jeff!
Jeff?
Jeff!
Jeff!
Nothing.
I can't hear. He clearly doesn't give a damn.
Dear Ren, I've got to tell you, I mean, from personal experience, it's a hell of a long way from Fishy Mansions to Saskatoon. He might not have heard us yet.
Well, we can give it some time. It's fine. And while we're waiting, let's hear a question from Mick Heeson. In fact, let's hear two.
He's always been a difficult one, old Mick Heeson.
Well, the first of these
Yeah.
is, have any of your cover versions garnered praise or caused problems with the original artist?
I do remember when we were very small, I got this intro to that song, Girls Who Keep Goldfish, and it is a total, complete and utter lift from the intro to I'm Set Free on the Velvet Underground's third album. And I can remember, as a nervous little 24-year-old who didn't know what the hell was going on, wondering whether Lou Reed's lawyers were going to get in touch over that. Since then, we've played about 3/4 of the man's catalogue and we've never had a word. You know, we're too small for people to notice, I think.
Just wait till you're on YouTube.
Oh, that'll be an exciting day. But I can't really think of any occasion. The only one that comes to mind is somebody told me, this is secondhand, so I don't know if it's true, but somebody went to see Jonathan Richman sometime in the 80s. And perhaps unsurprisingly, they shouted out for Roadrunner. And the story I heard from this guy was that Jonathan turned around to him and said, "No, I don't do that no more. If you want to hear that song, you have to hear the Jazz Butcher."
Nice.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I was told.
Who fucking cares? Let's just pretend that happened. It's Jonathan Richman.
We did meet Jonathan a little while later. We did a gig with him in Warwick University, and it was very sweet because our dressing rooms were next door to each other. And of course we'd been set up, you know, all the free beer and sandwiches and so forth. And of course Jonathan was not a drinker. And so the first time we ever met, the first time we were ever in a room with him, he was bringing in a pallet of beers and giving them to us. So, good start.
With his strong arms.
He's a strong and powerful man, yeah.
He's going to live forever, I fucking hope.
He's a dancing fool.
He's a wonderful creature.
He certainly is. So yeah, we got all this beer off him, and we watched him sing and play, and that was fabulous. And then after the show, two young ladies came round, and they'd obviously twigged that he doesn't drink or do drugs, so they brought him a big fuck off chocolate cake.
Oh, I thought you were going to say trifle.
Ah, this cake was no trifle, and they gave it to him, and he was very gracious, and they had a little chat, and then they went on their way. And as soon as they were gone, Jonathan was back in our room going, "No, I don't really want this cake. Do you guys want it?"
Does he not eat sugar either? Or chocolate?
I have no idea, but we got about 24 beers, a couple of bowls of wine, and a chocolate cake of
See?
Jonathan Richmond.
You can't argue with that. He clearly garners all of his fun from his music.
Well, you only have to see him doing it to
Yeah.
know that.
What a hoot. What a hoot.
What a geezer.
Question number 2 from Mick Heeson. Who is Bicycle Kid based on?
This is a tricky one, because if I can go Boris Johnson for a minute, well, day mortuary, still Lizzie Bowden. And this fucker is dead now. I was inspired to write Bicycle Kid. I guess it would have been like the end of 88, the beginning of 89. It was a sunny afternoon, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and this little 10-year-old kid appeared on my street corner outside my house. And he was stood shirtless in the middle of the road, waving an enormous plank of wood and just going, "Rah!" like this. It's 10. And I took one look at this little Burke and I thought, yeah, someone needs to write something like this. And so that eventually became Bicycle Kid. It wasn't the first lyric for that tune, actually, not by a long chalk, but it got grafted on. And yeah, he lived a few hundred yards down the street next to mine, and he was just a complete little hooligan at the age of 10. And sure enough, everything in the song came true. He grew up to be a really ugly piece of work. Last time I saw him alive was in a local shopping centre, and he was walking around with 2 comedy skinheads at his shoulders like bodyguards. And you know, I'm not wholeheartedly opposed to skinheads. There's as many political splits between skinheads as there are between people with regular hair, so I don't want to tar all skinheads with the same brush for a moment. But these were rubbish skinheads. These would have been Brexit skinheads, Aki Basher skinheads, you know what I'm saying?
Easy.
Yeah, well, that's how nasty they were, and they cut a right little trio in the shopping centre.
You should have called it Bicycle Dick.
Yeah, which would have been Kid backwards.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking that. Anyway, I heard not so long after that, I heard that he'd croaked, and I think it was probably something to do with, like, you know, injecting shitty drugs or something like that.
Right.
And you know, a nasty little kid, grew up to be a nasty geezer, and is no longer with us.
Came to an unhappy end.
Yeah.
You could always imagine maybe it was a confrontation with a combine harvester. That's what I'd be hoping for.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe that sinister Antifa organisation chased him and his skinheads into the sea.
Yeah, they hang around in the shadows, just for avoidance of doubt.
In
Watch
the
out for them.
shadows.
Yeah.
One step forward, one step sideways.
One
step
step.
sideways, one step
Back. Boom. Good grief. What a band.
They turned me on. They were like the first band that turned me on to electric guitar, the Shadows.
They sounded they're great.
I was 3.
What was the bloody one?
Walk, Don't Run.
That wasn't what I was thinking of. You know, the famous one.
Apache.
That's the... Yeah. Yes.
It's a good record.
It is a great record. It's a great record.
And of course, covered so very memorably by the Edgar Broughton Band.
The Edgar Broughton Band. I've
Yeah.
literally never heard of them.
They were like Leamington Spa's answer to the Ladbroke Grove scene. They were huge, hairy, bearded anarchists, and their big popular number was Out, Demons Out.
Fucking hell,
Which
that sounds...
They performed this at festivals, and all the hippies would be there banging on tin cans and chanting away, "Out, demons, out."
intense
Yeah.
in both ways.
And they had a bizarre little number they used to do. It's called Apache Slash Dropout Boogie.
A medley.
Uh-huh.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I mean that's pushing the Motown,
Yeah. Leamington Spa's finest.
and certainly, I mean, you really can't ask for a higher boast than that.
True.
The world's tallest dwarf.
Now.
Stephen Day Freestone has a question,
Oh yeah.
and the question is: have you ever tried?
Glue?
Any further?
Um,
No, I think we're asking for trouble, aren't we?
Yeah.
An acoustic version of Caroline Wheeler's birthday present.
Wow. Never mind your glue. The answer to this question, scarcely credibly, is yes. I remember it surprisingly well, considering the state and condition. This is one of those gigs that was put together by Horton Jupiter and Mark Webber when they were this curious little duo of teenage psychonauts, and they used to put on gigs all the time, get Spacemen up, or very early lineup of the Inspiral Carpets used to play, that kind of thing, and they were on my case too. And on one occasion they had me up to play in Sheffield at a club called Take Two, and I got to Take Two, and I don't think they'd really engaged with their scene, because Take Two on a Thursday night was not busy, and most of the people who were there were rather pissed off looking goth people. And out I come, alone with an acoustic guitar, and just to make it a perfect evening, I'm feeling like death. I've got like a terrible cold, and it's cold, and I'm cold, and it's really, this is one of those gigs that just shouldn't be happening, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Still, you know, got to be professional, so I banged through, kept playing tunes, honking out the lyrics, because you know I wanted to get paid. And we got towards the end, and I was thinking to myself, you know, this gig is not happening. And some idiot cried out for Caroline Wheeler's birthday present. And the mood I was in at this point, I was kind of warmed up because I've been playing a little bit, so I was kind of warmed up, and you know, I'd had a beer or two. So I was feeling about as sort of energetic as I was going to feel that evening. And when he shouted out for it, I thought, okay, all right, I'll give you Caroline Wheeler's birthday present. And I can remember introducing it. I knew it was going to be like the last shot. I knew there was, you know, we weren't going any further down the road after this. So I got myself in tune. I addressed the largely pissed off and uninterested goths, and I said to them, my name's Patrick and I've got flu. And I did an acoustic Caroline Wheeler's birthday present, and it was just as horrible as you can probably imagine.
Well, how horrible?
Oh, it was horrible.
Unworkably horrible? Or just not quite as you would have hoped it to be, for those who were not present?
Well, it was pretty much as I intended it to be honest.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's not hard to play an acoustic version of Caroline Wheeler's birthday present. You know, I mean, it goes,
Yeah.
that's all it actually has to do. And given the state of the recorded version with like fuzz bass and people smashing up furniture and
Yeah.
all that over the top, it means that if you're going to do it acoustic, you really don't have to pay too much attention to how well you're playing it. In fact, in a way, the shabbier and more pointlessly aggressive way that you play it, the better.
Yeah, there's some charm to that. I was sort of wondering if you could have, were sort of hoping maybe to play the first bits so badly that people would have created the sound effects by themselves live in situ as it was going on.
Dirty. Yeah.
Kind of business, you know. But that was not your intent.
It is an interesting thing. I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to get the opportunity to play in a room solo again, but if that does turn up, it might actually be worth revisiting, because if you had a bunch of people who knew the song and liked the song,
Yeah.
you
Join
could
in.
actually do that.
Yeah.
You could have a kind of like 3D sense surround musical experience.
Now imagine that. That's the sort of thing that Muse might do, or someone like that.
Muse, they're very good.
Oh, they're ever so.
Yeah.
Ever so.
They're, for my money, they're right up there with like Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Ever so.
Mm.
I mean, they are ever so.
Ever so.
Very.
They sing about space aliens and that, don't they?
Stuff up there.
Yeah.
Yep, in the
Space
big,
aliens.
completely beautiful Blue Yonder.
It is a glorious afternoon here on the estate at Fishy Mansions.
Bloody right it is. It's lovely. I actually saw Muse in about 2000 in Manchester in a tiny place.
And you said
And
they
it
were
was
really good.
Fucking amazing. Honestly, it was
Yeah.
blistering. I'm a little bit sorry that they've become so vast and unwieldy.
Yeah.
They're like, it feels like watching the musical equivalent of a sort of Diplodocus or something like that, just smashing about the place.
I would much
Unhappy,
rather go
surrounded
and
by
see.
helicopters.
Yeah, I would much rather go and see a public event being mashed up by angry Diplodocus than go and see some bunch of showy prog rock fellows.
Hot dog stand.
Oh yeah, and the hot dog stand goes barreling across, rolling over, smashes into a falafel stand.
T-shirts everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't see any of this, but you can imagine it for
It's
yourselves.
going on just in the other corner of the estate there. We've unleashed one.
We have drawn to the close of part 2
How splendid.
of Fan Questions with Pat Fish. Any closing words?
Just thanks for your queries. Hope we've done something about it, and keep watching for number 3. Take care of yourselves.
Toodaloo.